Hi everyone, welcome to Plan with Elise. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you have been here before, thanks for coming back. In today's video, I'm going to share the first 5 steps to making a budget. So I have this Happy Planner filler paper. I think this was from the Amy Tangerine Be Happy box, but it already has a list of 1 through 5, and so I want to talk a little bit about them today, and then in future videos we will get further into this. Every Friday I post a Finance Friday video, so be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time a Finance Friday video goes up. So, setting a budget. Okay, first up is pretty important. It's determine your income. So let's just write that down and we'll talk about it. I could have, I guess, written my income. What is your income? Now this is important. Even though it seems pretty basic, it's important for 2 reasons. Well, in 2 different ways. Number 1, maybe you have a stable income. I know it's kind of hard right now with COVID, but maybe your paycheck is exactly the same every week or every 2 weeks, or maybe you have a variable income. So the first thing you need to do is figure out exactly what your income is. If you're someone with a variable income, it may be important to kind of do the math and average out the last 12 months of your income so that you can see what the monthly average is. But if you're someone who gets paid the same every month or every 2 weeks, every week, whatever it may be, then you should just be able to have that number. Next up is calculate expenses. Okay, so there are a couple of different ways to do this. I'm going to start out with the hardest and most time-consuming, but the most effective way to do this. I learned this from Jen of Jen Plans, and it's a lot of work, and it's so worth it. Go through, if you're a debit card or credit card spender, go through the last 12 months of bank statements and credit card transactions and categorize your spending. And then do the math and divide it. So if you'll see that maybe you spent, I don't know, I mean, it adds up. So let's say Starbucks. If you spent $5 a day at Starbucks over every couple of days, you may realize that over the course of a year you spent $100 a month at Starbucks, which is a lot of money. It adds up. The important reason to do this as an annual, to track it annually, is because your expenses change. So let's remove COVID from the picture because that's changed a lot of different things. But let's go back to a year ago when life was somewhat normal. Your expenses in August are going to be different than your expenses in December. So let's say in August, maybe if you have kids, you're doing some back to school shopping, or you're going to the beach, or you're going out with friends more. And then in December, you're spending money on holiday gifts. The important reason to do it overall is so that you see for the entire year what your average is, and then again divide it by 12 to see what you're spending on average each month. This will also help for something like food shopping. Maybe in the winter time you're spending more money on food shopping if you're entertaining for the holidays, or in the summer months maybe you're not if you're going out to dinner a lot. But categorizing those on an annual basis is really, really important. Another way you can do it is look at the last couple of months. If COVID has really affected you, or maybe even if it hasn't, and you just want to look at the last couple of months and kind of see where your money has gone, you could do it that way, but it's not going to give you the entire picture like annual would. And the other way, if maybe you're not quite ready to start yet, is for the next month, write down or put in a spreadsheet every single dollar that you spend, and then give yourself a time frame, so maybe 1 month or 2. And then at the end of that time, categorize it like food, home, health and beauty. If you're someone who's doing big runs at Target or Walmart, you may want to hold on to those receipts if you're buying from different categories like food, clothing, health and beauty, things like that. So those 3 ways are going over the last 12 months, going over the last couple of months, and then going over the next few months. So then, after you calculate your expenses, calculate the difference. So you're going to come up with, let me make sure I spell this right. So it's going to go one of two ways. Well, I guess it could technically go three ways. Either your income is less than your expenses. If that's the case, you have two options. Number one, make more money. Number two, maybe a little bit easier, reduce your expenses. So this is why you need to do number 1 and 2, because you need to figure out if you're making enough money or not, or if your expenses are too high. If your income is more than your expenses, you're in good shape. Then you'll be able to start figuring out some financial goals. Then, of course, the third option is that your income minus your expenses could be 0, which means that you're spending exactly as much as you're bringing in which case maybe also kind of evaluate some financial goals and see if you can reduce your spending a little bit so that you do have some extra room to play with. All right, number 4 is just kind of like I said, I got a little messed up, financial goals. Now, your financial goals could be simple, and they could be more complicated. It could be as simple as putting aside $25 a month for the holidays, or $50 a month. I'm just throwing out random numbers in there so that when the holidays come around, you will be a little bit more prepared for them. Or it can be setting aside $50 or $100 a month into a savings account, or it could be as simple as spending less money at Starbucks. Once you have your financial goals figured out, then you'll be able to actually create a budget and stick to it. So number 5 is create a budget. Okay. All right, now when it comes time to actually create a budget, there are a couple of different categories to keep in mind. So first up are the essentials. This includes housing, so whether you pay rent or a mortgage, the housing costs would be there. Utilities. I don't know if you want to include cable or internet as part of utilities. For this, let's just include that as part of it. Housing, utilities, food. And those are really, well, actually, transportation. So transportation can be So for me, it would be housing would be rent, utilities would be electricity, and internet. I got rid of cable 3 or 4 years ago because I didn't want to spend the money on it anymore, and I found I was fine using Hulu. Food, so this is grocery shopping. You may want to split this category into dining out and grocery shopping. And then transportation, for me, this would be the lease I have on my car and my car insurance. So that's probably the only essentials, unless I'm missing some like glaring essential there. And then I don't know what to call it. I don't know if I want to call this category wants or sort of needs. Let's just do other for now. And this is really very subjective, this part. So for example, clothing. If you have children who are growing, yes, they are going to absolutely need new clothes. But do you need that new pair of shoes that you saw on sale? That's going to be up to you. And that's where it becomes very subjective. So you have clothing, maybe we can put in here dining out. If you want to put in here planning supplies, since we are planners on here. I guess maybe up by essentials we could also do like health and beauty, because you do need to get some of those kinds of things. Let's just put an asterisk here because this can also be considered essentials. Of course, you're going to need things for the home like toilet paper or paper towels, toothpaste, shampoo, body wash, those types of grooming products, of course, you will absolutely need. So these are a couple of other that I'm just thinking that I'll spend, money on here and there. And then here are some goal setting ideas. I do have another video on financial goal setting that I'll be sure to link below, and maybe if I figure out how to add it as like a whoop to this video like other people do, I can do that. But goal setting, we have holidays, birthdays, we could do anniversaries in there. Savings is always very, very important. You should not be spending all the money you're bringing in. Let's see. Let me find my goal setting sheet so that I can use that as a cheat sheet while I'm in here. Okay, I pulled it out. I have it here. So you have holidays, birthdays, emergency, vacation. And I'm not really, I guess I can put a couple of sinking funds in here. So like car repair, maybe something that you don't need right now, but likely you will if you have a car. Same thing with home repair. If you are a homeowner, you may need a hot water heater at some point. You probably will. I hope it's not today. And medical is that same kind of thing where hopefully you don't need it right now, but if you start saving for it, you'll be much happier when the time comes that you need it, unfortunately. Okay, so these are the basics. Here are the 5 steps to determining sort of how to make your budget, and then the different categories to keep in mind. Of course, there are categories that I'm sure I'm forgetting, or ones in here that don't apply to you, or ones that maybe apply to you, but they wouldn't apply to me, and that's kind of why they're not included in this. But these are the first 5 steps. So let me just brighten this up a little bit. Here we go. To summarize, determine your income, calculate your expenses, calculate the difference, set your financial goals, and then create a budget. Stay tuned for more of the Finance Fridays, where I will talk in much greater detail about the bottom part, how to actually go about creating a budget, sticking to a budget, and all that fun stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I would love if you took a moment to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.